My name is Neel Venkatesh, and my business idea is Foodtopia. I was able to understand what it takes to be an entrepreneur and the different aspects of marketing. I'm looking forward to turning Foodtopia into a real venture, and that is why I decided to compete in the Bullpen to share my idea and get feedback from the panel of judges so that I can make my venture successful.
All right. So without further ado, this is Neel. And Neel, when you're ready, please introduce us to Foodtopia.
Hello, my name is Neel Venkatesh, and I'm from Princeton, New Jersey. I used to live in India for 6 years of my life, and I've come to form great memories and great friends. But something I can never forget about India was the amount of poverty that existed there. I remember seeing kids my age living in rows of tent-like shelters while I waited for my bus to pick me up for school. Not only could these kids not afford school, but they didn't even know where their next meal was coming from. So this got me thinking again. How can I help now? So last winter, I organized a food drive in my community to help families during the pandemic. This small experience created a passion for solving food waste and hunger, and hence I present to you today Foodtopia. Right now, the numbers don't look so good. 38.3 million people in the United States lived with food insecurity in 2020, and 60% of children from low-income families come to school hungry every day. However, the opportunity is huge. 85% of food that is not used in a typical American restaurant is just thrown away, and it ends up in a landfill, polluting the environment. If only there was a way to bridge the gap. My service, Foodtopia, will act like that bridge between food surplus and hunger. It will be a platform where individual donors and restaurants can connect with food pantries and soup kitchens. Food will be moved using partnerships with Uber, DoorDash, Grubhub, and other organizations like Move for Hunger. Donors will undergo certification to ensure that the quality of the food is good. My target customers include individual donors and restaurants and the food pantries and soup kitchens receiving the food. This is Karen, a student at UCLA who is passionate about the environment and wishes to help her community. She was told about Foodtopia through friends and influencers. This is Douglas. He's a first generation college graduate from his family who ended up owning a restaurant. He noticed the amount of food his restaurant was disposing of every day and wanted to put it to good use. He was told about Foodtopia through social media and word of mouth from other restaurant owners. In order to create a buzz about Foodtopia, I'll use a combination of social media, corporate sponsorships, and uh, rich content on my website. The content on my website will include information about hunger, food waste, and how Foodtopia is helping. The donors will be able to look at a map on my website and fill out a form to donate food. The beneficiaries receiving the food will be able to look through a list of all the donors that they can receive food from and when they can expect to receive it. My content strategy includes information about hunger, food waste, and how Foodtopia is helping. My social media strategy comprises of three main points: influencer marketing on platforms such as Instagram, YouTube, and TikTok, corporate sponsorships so I can advertise on local radio stations and billboards, and working with Google to get search engine optimization. This is a prototype of my Instagram page. There is a lot at stake for the world right now, but more so for the next generation. That is why we need today's youth to step up to the plate and battle hunger and food waste. Working together with local high schools, community organizations, and Boy Scouts troops, I believe that I can create a movement addressing this urgent issue of hunger and food waste. There is a long way to go, but we have to start somewhere. I believe that the Foodtopia model can create a huge impact and can be implemented worldwide. It is my dream to go back to India and use Foodtopia to help families like those that I saw every day while going to school. Thank you.
Fantastic. Thank you, Neel. Really appreciate that presentation. Very succinct, but very well researched as well, mate. I'd like to start with a question just from the audience at this particular point in time. How do you get, how are you going to make any money to actually be able to do this in the first place?
So first, my profits are probably going to come from sponsorships, uh, like corporate sponsorships. So let's say let's say a restaurant donates food to Foodtopia. They could also they could also pay pay Foodtopia to so that they could get recognition on my website. So it's kind of like a win-win situation. So do, and also people can advertise on my website. So that would be another source of revenue. Also, donations and fundraiser events will also be um, how I would make profits.
Fantastic. Thank you, buddy. And remember, you don't always have to make profits. Your impact is important as well. But I was just wondering, because obviously impact, you still need certain resources to be able to do that at certain points in time. But anyway, judges, over to you. Yes, Vin, go for it.
Yeah, thanks, Neel. I think you have a really pressing issue in hand, and it's great that you're trying to address that. I had a few questions in terms of competition. Like, do you know who else is in the place? Because there are other people also doing the same thing. Any thoughts on that?
Well, I mean, when I did my research, I couldn't really find many people that were focusing on both food waste and hunger. Most that I looked at that were remotely close to what I was doing were either focusing on hunger or food waste, which are one side of the equation. But with Foodtopia, I'm hoping that I can bring together the bring together these two issues.
Fair enough. All right. In terms of like, say, packaging, preservation, like, where do you see that happening? Who takes care of that?
Well, I mean, packaging the foods. Well, when they donate, they're probably gonna give it in either bags or boxes. And but I don't think preservation would be an issue because the food is probably going to be moved in probably an hour at the most because we're trying to get the food fresh. Like we're not keeping food that's like a couple days old in like some storage facility and then giving it to the food pantries. It's just whenever people have food to donate, they can and feel like helping, they can donate food and that's basically how it works.
All right.
So there would
Thank
be
you.
no need for preservation. Yeah.
Thank you. Again, nice background. And I saw that you have 11 million Twitter followers. I mean, Instagram followers. Nice touch again.
Oh no, that's
I
no,
know.
that's not actually.
All right, thank you.
Fantastic. Surali, after you, please.
Hi, Neel. Very nice idea. I have a general question. All I know is that restaurants, well, not restaurants, but the FDA doesn't allow certain restaurants or chains to donate food. Like afterwards, I know McDonald's has this policy that even if they have, for example, donuts or burgers left over, they're just not allowed to give it away. Have you thought about this issue, or is this even a legitimate issue that you think you'll face?
Yes, and I actually, when I was doing some of the market research, I noticed that. So I talked to a restaurant who had the same issue, like the restaurant owner said that he wasn't allowed to donate food because of legal risk. And that's something that I did look into, and I found out that donors would be protected under the Good Samaritans Act. So and in some states they would get tax benefits as well.
Okay, amazing. Cool. Thank you.
Judges, we have time for one last question. Sarav, Michael, do either of you have one?
I'll ask a question. So first of all, I think what you're trying to solve for is quite amazing. So I would give you props for the idea and the impact that you're trying to what you're trying to solve. I guess my general question was around similar to the earlier question about just kind of the more around quality control. You know, how do you have you thought about, you know, how to keep, you know, the food that you get, you know, where you're going to store it, how you're going to keep it fresh, all these things, right? Which might add more cost to the business model, but I just wanted to see, maybe explore whether you've thought more about that.
Well, to donate food, the FDA requires you to have certification, which is something I forgot to mention. So you need to undergo certification to be able to donate the food in the first place. So that's kind of how I would ensure that that the food is good. And yeah. And like I said, I don't think preservation, because would be that, like, I don't think I would have to worry about preservation because the food is not staying in a room for days.
Very cool. All right. Oh, sorry, Michael, I apologize. We'll end off there. Thank you so much for the presentation, Neel. You're very, very well researched. I have to say the questions definitely showed that at the end, so that was really impressive. Thank you for your presentation. Really appreciate it. Pat on the back. Well done.